Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of the buckets. And I'm so excited to be with you today on this Inauguration Monday. Can I get some air horns? So I get some air horns in here? That's my wow. See, I don't even, you know what? I'm not even too concerned. I think I got my air horns right here. Here we go. There we go. It's probably all good because my wife says she hates the air horn. She doesn't even like it, so I should probably just go ahead and retire that. But in any case, it is Inauguration Monday. I haven't done a live stream in a long time. I'm off work today, so I'm feeling good. This is the day that we have been looking forward to for many, many, many years, ever since that fateful day 4 years ago, where unfortunately Donald Trump was not allowed to retake office, and he was booted out by, as Donald Trump likes to affectionately call, Sleepy Joe Biden. He's finally out of the office, and I have to say, Joe Biden, unfortunately, an absolute disgrace, and I just think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad look, and unfortunately, we'll talk about it here in a moment. He went off on a worse note than I would have ever imagined, but nonetheless, it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? So here's the deal. I want to take a moment to kind of go through a few of the highlights, some of my favorite parts of the inauguration speech. If you want to watch the entire thing, I encourage you to do that. It's always a good thing to do so. But there were a few things about this inauguration speech that I was particularly enamored by. And I want to watch some of that and kind of give you my thoughts. And generally speaking, I thought Donald Trump was very presidential. I think that this second go around, this MAGA 2.0, is going to be absolutely fantastic. And I want to highlight something about the theme of his speech. One of the part where I want to start in this inauguration speech that I thought was absolutely fantastic, because some years ago, when I asked a friend of mine who voted for Joe Biden, I said, "Why did you vote for Joe Biden? What was that about? I mean, why did you do that?" Turn off this light here. And he said, this is what he said. He said, "Because I believe Joe Biden is going to be a unifier." Okay. Okay. Joe Biden has been many things. A unifier is not one of them. And I told him at the time, I said, I'm paraphrasing, but that's absurd. He's not going to unify anyone. The first thing he did was talk about how basically everyone who was MAGA is a threat to democracy. And every single day for the next 4 years, they played the hit and the trumpet of insurrection and supposedly how dangerous the MAGA coalition was. Little did he know that the MAGA coalition is stronger than ever, stronger than even it was the first go around. So that kind of sucks for him. We're going to get back to Joe Biden here in a moment. But let's take a moment to listen to Donald Trump's fantastic speech. I was very, very enamored by it. This is actually what Donald Trump ended up being. Donald Trump ended up being an actual unifier. So let's take a quick look at what he said here, and just to demonstrate that.
American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda, with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, And very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states. And the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that.
So I just want to pause here because this is so good. This is what unity looks like. We know, I've been calling MAGA 2.0, I've been calling it the Common Sense Coalition. It's the Common Sense Coalition. What does that look like? That's basically a bunch of people who would otherwise be on different sides of the political aisle under normal circumstances, basically saying, you know what? Everything's going absolutely nuts. Everything's going absolutely insane. This is crazy. And we're not going to continue to go down this road. So let's put aside the things that are maybe secondary or less important to us, and let's coalesce around the thing that is most important. Because there's a common sense coalition that says, look, let's not make everything about race. Let's not make everything about sexuality. Let's return to merit. Let's just do the common sense basic things. Let's not get out on the fringes of these political ideologies. And let's return to what it used to be like when people knew how to get things done and people had basically core beliefs that were pretty straightforward and common sense. And that whole thing has gone away, and they brought it back. They brought it back. That thing had gone away, and they brought it back. And this is what unity actually looks like. Not unifying your nut job fringe base to say, hey, if you were MAGA, you're a threat to democracy. If you're saying MAGA is a threat to democracy, then quite literally, our entire nation is a threat to itself because the majority of the people voted to bring MAGA 2.0 into fruition. So let's continue to listen a bit more.
Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
Common Sense Coalition.
First,
That's what I've been saying.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
True. W Mans for sure.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
Easy.
Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
I'm going to tell you right now, super underrated portion of this speech. Donald Trump's not messing around. You know, these cartels, these people who are pumping all kinds of filth and drugs and human trafficking and all of that stuff into our nation, these people, we're going to treat them like the enemies that they are. We're escalating. We're not dealing with you with police or diplomacy and all that crap. You might just have to eat some hot lead. And unfortunately, I wish it wasn't like that, but at this point, we got to say enough is enough.
And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities.
Yep.
As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Easy. Easy.
America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. Let me use it.
As we should.
We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world.
Recall
we will
that
be
Joe
a rich
Biden,
nation again, and
recall that Joe Biden, for political purposes, drained the strategic reserves so that he could artificially lower gas prices so he wouldn't look so bad so they wouldn't look so bad during the midterm. It's just like quitting your job and then burning through your savings when there's no reason to quit your job. It's horrendous.
it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago.
Donald
And
Trump
thank you to the
President
auto
Trump has
workers
a
of our
different
nation
approach,
for your
and he will
inspiring
certainly
vote
want
of
to show the
confidence.
strength
We did tremendously
of his
with their vote.
personality as a tool for foreign policy.
I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency.
Doge. Just a word on that about the unity that Donald Trump is forging. Elon Musk is not really a conservative. He's not really that. Vivek Ramaswamy was a libertarian. Then you got RFK, who's a Democrat. Then you've got Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat. And he's pulling these people together. This is what unity looks like.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
I like this, but I wish it wasn't via executive action. We need laws passed to make this permanent. The next administration could just set it back where it was if Democrats win again. So
never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Something I know something about.
I don't know about never again.
We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
I just got to pause right there. You know, any Christian out there talking about Donald Trump is this and that without talking about this aspect of his leadership and presidency, restoring common sense, if you're not incorporating that into your analysis, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong, because the single greatest lie ever foisted upon the American people is this gender ideology garbage. It is the lie to end all lies. Once people accept that garbage, they will accept any lie. And the fact that Donald Trump is saying, we're not going to tolerate it, there's men and there's women, and if you don't like those two categories, that's your problem. That is a bold statement of leadership and courage to say, we're not going to accommodate nonsense. And I don't care what your gripe is about how many times he's been married. If you're not considering that, then you're doing it wrong.
This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay.
That right there is super underrated as well.
And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Notice the Democrats.
Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world.
Notice the left side or the right side. You're right. They're left. They're not standing. That's Biden, Kamala, these different Democrats. They're like, oh, our military shouldn't only be for defeating our enemies. Our military should also be about promoting absurd experimental ideology that makes us less war ready. That's why they don't want Pete Hegseth, because he's going to put a crackdown on all that nonsense. We're not going to lower standards for women. We're not going to allow transgenders to serve, quote unquote, in the military, which we shouldn't. By definition, they are mentally unstable. So this is good.
World has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
True.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
Give it up for the hostages coming home.
Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
Now, Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, I did not have that on the bingo card. That's pretty funny. Sounds about right to me.
President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
I like it. See, one of the things, one of the big emphases of Trump and his administration is making sure that America isn't getting robbed in certain situations. This is the whole premise behind his tariffs, the premise behind negotiating different deals. This is why for NATO, he was like, "Oh, if you guys don't start paying your money, we're gonna pull out." A lot of different things. He's just tired of America basically being taken advantage of. And I didn't even really know all those things about the Panama Canal, that we had made such a significant contribution to its creation, and everyone has benefited from it. And then we kind of made it this kind of community kind of thing. And now it's being used against us. And he's saying, look, if it's going to be like that, we're going to take it back. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of that.
Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
That's interesting. I didn't see that one coming either. I didn't have that on my bingo card. That's definitely an Elon Musk thing.
Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken.
Facts. Facts.
I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best.
Yep.
From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, From Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We are going to win like never before. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna pause there because I think that's pretty much the main gist of this speech. And I want to say that this is what an actual unifying speech sounds like. This is what it looks like. And this is what unity actually is. Not the fake unity where Joe Biden came out in his inauguration speech and pretended like that's what he wanted to do. The fact of the matter is that he was elected under dubious circumstances. Half of the country didn't believe his election was legitimate. And then he immediately started saying that everyone who didn't think so was a threat to democracy. Joe Biden didn't get a single, bipartisan kind of, unless you want to include the likes of Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, which we'll get to in a moment because there's some interesting information that came out that right before the inauguration speech came out, Joe Biden gave preemptive pardons to Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger. I think it was Adam Kinzinger, but I also know for certain it was Dr. Fauci. For certainly Liz Cheney and Dr. Fauci. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But this whole thing is what real leadership looks like, and I'm quite frankly, I'm really excited about MAGA 2.0. So we'll see how things go. I like what he's doing on day one. The things that he talked about in this speech, they needed to be done. They needed to be done quickly. I think executive order is certainly the way forward. But for some of these things, we need laws. Like, for example, he talked about the free speech. He talked about how we pursue energy, different things. In order for those things to be permanent, we need Congress to pass laws so that the next administration, if another Democratic regime comes to the fore, they can't just erase everything Donald Trump has done with a stroke of a pen. So there's that. Now, let's transition to the shady and underhanded thing that Mr. Joseph R. Biden did right before you. And this, it's shady and underhanded. And this is so serendipitous because these people are who they accuse us of being. This is who they are. Right before the inauguration speech started, Joe Biden issues a pardon for Liz Cheney and Dr. Fauci. So let's have a quick look here at this because this is incredible. And I got this from Black Conservative. He's already kind of cut it up and started some things. So I found this interesting.
Considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you?
This, by the way, is from 2020. where it was being floated that Trump was going to issue preemptive pardons before he left office, and he didn't do any of that. And as a matter of fact, many people were in danger, including himself. He could have pardoned himself, and he didn't do that, and he went through all that, and he won it back. So let's take a look.
All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. Nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
The only reason I know to ask for a pardon is because you think you've committed a crime.
I only know of one reason to seek a pardon, because you're worried that you're guilty, that you committed a crime.
A few years later.
It's a Fox News alert. President Biden, this just came across, just issues new pardons for Dr. Anthony Fauci. You could call these preemptive pardons. Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired four-star general Mark Milley. This just happened moments ago. It also includes the members of Congress and staff who served on the Select Committee and the U.S. Capitol, and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the Select Committee. This as Trump prepares to take the oath of office in just a few hours.
Would that include Liz Cheney?
So what a mess. No, it doesn't. I guess, yeah, Select Committee.
The whole select.
But what does it say? Mark Milley, who is chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under both Biden and Trump, you know that 100%. What he's done in the past. You know that he was calling China, trying to putting down President Trump.
I mean, what are they afraid that Pete Hegseth is going to see when he goes to the Defense Department and look at the files and data? There's been no talk of going after Anthony Fauci.
Well, Rand Paul is.
There may have been some senators, but the president himself has not said he wants to prosecute
and here's
Anthony Fauci.
Absolutely right. And here's the thing. You pardon somebody who's been convicted.
Right.
They haven't been
There's
convicted.
a confession.
They haven't been charged. Right. This is crazy. It will be interesting to read the exact language, and because it just broke, we haven't seen it yet. But
boy. So we got to talk about Joe Biden.
All right, so that's shout out to Black Conservative. He had already kind of compiled that, so I said, why not just use that instead of reinventing the wheel? Absolutely unbelievable what the implications of this are, because as you saw, Adam Kinzer, there again, these people are exactly who they accuse us of. They accuse Republicans and conservatives of being racist. That's who they are. They accuse them of being underhanded and shady. That's who they are. They accuse us constantly of having ulterior motives. That's what they have. These people are, I'm sorry to say, there are a bunch of low-life scum. I just have to say that out loud. It's like, and if you think about it, just think about it from this perspective. A person who thinks that somebody else is always plotting to steal, they are likely the person plotting to steal. It's a thief. Thieves think that everyone are trying to find some angle to come up, because that's what they do. They're always looking at trying to find out a weakness, trying to find out an angle to come up. And so they think that everyone else is doing that. And no, it's not, everyone else is not doing that. It's just you. It's actually incredible. And this should be, in my opinion, the reason why this is important, because this should be the final nail in the coffin of people who swore up and down that the Biden administration and voting for Democrats was somehow the moral and right thing to do. And the resistance needed to be against Donald Trump and his, band of raiders and their band, this evil regime of MAGA, the Trump administration. The Democrat Party has demonstrated over and over and over and over again that they are who they accuse MAGA of being. And so why preemptively pardon the J6 committee? This is why this if you just stop and think about it just for a moment, it makes perfect sense that the reason why they went to such irrational extremes to keep Donald Trump out of the second term is because everything that they did to displace him the first time was so shady and so underhanded that they could never allow him to get back into power, because you can't erase all that stuff. You can't erase all of those things that you did. You can't get rid of it. The only thing that you can do is to try to make sure that the people who are in power never actually investigate what you did. And they know that if Donald Trump ever got back into office, that's one of the first things he would do, is he would he'd want to say, listen, let's find out what these people did. That's January 6th was a sham. How do I know January 6th was a scam? How do I know that the stuff that Dr. Fauci did was completely underhanded and shady? We know that because the handwriting was on the wall, and now that Donald Trump's back in power and he could make all those things, he could either confirm or disprove all of those things. The fact that the American people voted for him a second time around, despite the fact that they, for 8-9 straight years, all they said was, this guy's a threat to democracy, threat to democracy, felon, blah, 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 blah. The majority of the American people voted for him. First popular vote win since, was it the first Bush? I can't remember when the last Republican popular vote win was, but it's been a while. The fact that the American people voted for Donald Trump said that they didn't buy all of that stuff. All of that narrative, those narratives were just completely partisan talking points. And people who were hardcore partisans, they bought it. But people who were not hardcore partisans, they didn't buy it. And that's why you saw a universal shift to the right toward MAGA. Almost every district, even the ones that didn't actually end up being won by Donald Trump or by Republicans, they still shifted red. And they knew that the handwriting was on the wall. And that's why they were so desperate to stop him from getting in by having him arrested or disqualified. But it didn't work. It didn't work. So now their last-ditch effort is to try to pretend like what they were doing wasn't shady, and then at the last minute saying, okay, well, you guys were good soldiers. Fauci, Adam Kinzinger, why am I drawing a blank here? Liz Cheney, all of these people, they were so Adam Kinzinger said it out of his own mouth. I mean, we can look at it again. He said, there's no need, according to him, there's no need to preemptively pardon if you hadn't done anything wrong. Donald Trump was in the exact same situation. You see, this is an apples to apples comparison. Donald Trump was in the exact same situation in 2020. He could have, on his way out, had a bunch of preemptive pardons. And then all of that stuff that happened to Rudy Giuliani and all of these attorneys who ended up, some of them end up being disbarred for kind of standing up for and trying to standing up for the investigation of the last election. Some of these people paid significant prices to say, we don't think the election was on the up and up. And then the Democrats used that as an occasion to ruin these people's lives. And Donald Trump didn't even preemptively pardon some of those people. Why? Because that's what you do when you don't believe you've done anything wrong. That's what you do. And I think that a lot of these people who ended up being disbarred because they supported Donald Trump in the investigation of the 2020 election, and they exhausted legal means and did different things. I think Donald Trump needs to come back and restore some of these people, just like he did for the soldiers who he said was going, not only were going to be restored to the military if you didn't take the vaccine, but with full back pay. There needs to be some restitution to some of these people. So this is a very interesting development, and I think that it's pretty incredible that that Joe Biden so brazenly and so dishonestly went ahead and just pardoned everyone. I thought that so it's just so interesting. All right, so another quick transition, because I want to talk about basically the new resistance. Okay, so there's a new resistance to MAGA. It's not really a new resistance. It's kind of a residual resistance. And there are people who are still losing their minds, and they kind of hadn't gotten the memo that effectively, it's no longer taboo to be on the MAGA train. Right before the inauguration, there's a bunch of different people who actually performed last night, I believe it was. There were people like Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, Nelly. And all of these people ended up saying, you know what? Forget all that stuff. We're not out here trying to pretend like, if we go and, perform for Trump, or if we go down to the White House or go down to D.C. and basically say, hey, we're no longer a part of the resistance, and people trying to cancel them. People are basically, all the celebrities are saying, forget that. From black celebrities like those rappers I just mentioned to Carrie Underwood, who sang at Trump's inauguration, they're saying, forget that. And there's a lot of people who haven't gotten the memo that it's no longer taboo to support Donald Trump. But there's a weird remnant. There's a weird remnant that's kind of left over. And what's kind of interesting is that I got a friend, and I want to see if I can find this here. I got a friend who was in Washington, D.C., and he was in the room with a lot of different people. And one of the people who he was in the room with was Eddie Griffin. Now, Eddie Griffin was a part of a movie, probably the most Trump deranged movie I've ever seen. Let me see if I can find this movie. See, Trump movie. Eddie Griffin Trump movie. What's the name of this movie? Oh, it's called Bad President. Okay, this is crazy. I want to try to watch this trailer here, because this is so crazy to me. This is so crazy to me. I can't even. I just can't with this. Let's see if I can go here. All right, let's have a quick look at this, because this is crazy. Let's see if we can watch this here. Okay, whatever. I'm not old enough. All right, let's try again. It wants me to put my birthday in. All right. I'm old. So apparently, I don't know. Is it that bad? We quilt this city. We quilt this city with a coffee. All right. Ads. We quilt this city with a coffee.
Keep it quilted with Quilted Northern.
All right.
You work with Charles Manson, Richard Nixon, Hitler. When was the last time you ran into a genuine dark triad? Minions. Do we have anybody that'll fit that bill?
I've got one. He's a narcissist. He's Machiavellian.
A psychopath?
A dark triad.
If a guy from Kenya not even born in the U.S. can become president, you can too.
I'm here to see Donald Trump.
Do you have an appointment?
I can make you president. I can guarantee it.
Besides running my global empire, besides being the biggest celebrity on TV, besides being the most handsome man in the world, a billionaire, and banging some of the hottest, one of the hottest women in the world, I'm going to run for president.
All right, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a copyright strike for playing this trailer. But if you want to watch the whole thing, it's called Bad President. This film was released in 2021. So basically, it's a film that's about how Donald Trump is such a terrible person. The name of the film is called Bad President. And Eddie Griffin in this movie, he plays the devil, and how the devil basically is responsible for making Donald Trump the president. This is how Trump deranged Eddie Griffin was to even participate in this movie. And then my friend, who shall remain nameless, I'm going to see if I can get this picture, because literally he was there at the at this party. Apparently, he saw some other famous people too there. He saw Pras from the Fugees. And let me see here. This is it. Yeah. This is very interesting. So, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up. Like, seriously. Yeah, well, let's see here. Let's see if it'll let me get in. Oh, Lord. Such an, the main point is this. He's in the room with Eddie Griffin, right? And Eddie Griffin is at this movie, at this party, this Trump, pre-Trump inauguration party, kind of hobnobbing and kind of yucking it up, like, yeah, no, I'm gonna apparently not too upset that Trump is the president now. And this to me just it begs the question. What should we do about this new coalition of formerly Trump deranged people who apparently are now back on the MAGA train? Because here's the thing: there was an interesting kind of phenomenon that happened back during the church age, where the church was under a lot of persecution. And during that time, a lot of the Christians who were professing Christians, they said, we can't take this heat, so we're just going to renounce our faith, all right? Or they'll do whatever compromise to escape the persecution. Then when Rome instituted Christianity again, and it was no longer illegal, and even became popular to become a Christian, then a lot of these people wanted to come back and be reinstated in the church. And the question was, well, what do you do with those people? And I understand that these are not the same thing, right? These, in some ways, we're talking about someone's genuine faith and salvation versus political ideas. But the real question is that, obviously the overlap is there are people who were vehemently against Donald Trump before. Now that it's cool, at least that's the apparent situation. Now that it's cool to be on Team MAGA, what should we do with these people? Well, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. If we have people who hadn't actually given a real explanation of why they changed their mind, like you take for somebody, for example, like Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks has been going through a very, very slow, gradual transformation, and she has been saying things about MAGA, about Trump, about conservatives that have been actually getting her out of the good graces of her own political team for some time now. So she's been taking some heat, and she has been she's not necessarily MAGA per se, but she is a person that has given some very good explanations as to why she started to shift some of the way she thinks, even though she was severely Trump deranged. So when I look at someone like Anna Kasparian, I'm like, okay, I understand Anna Kasparian's transformation. But a lot of these Johnny-come-latelys, your Snoop Dogs, right? Your Eddie Griffins, some of these people that are just all of a sudden now they're okay with Team MAGA. I just got to tell you, I don't trust it. I don't really trust these people. I don't think they stand on principle. And I really do think that those people need to be held to account. I mean, I'm just not gonna. I mean, and obviously they're not a part of any administration or anything like that. So, what their impact is marginal or questionable at best. But in any case, from a cultural standpoint, we're going to see a lot of kind of fake, kind of bandwagon MAGA people, and what we're going to see is probably come next election cycle, where Trump's not in the running anymore. We're probably going to see them regress to the mean or go back to their old ways and be completely manipulated by left-wing ideology and propaganda. So that's the way I'm thinking about that. Snoop's not an ally. He's not MAGA. Okay, people like Eddie Griffin and some of these other people, they're not a part of the Common Sense Coalition. So there's that. Now, I wanted to look up something that I thought was really interesting because obviously everyone knows, unless you can't even be living under a rock and not know about the California wildfires. But the LA Times owner had a very interesting conversation about basically the leadership in California, and how their response to the California wildfires has been completely unacceptable, and how he regrets endorsing California mayor who in essence he regrets endorsing her. And so I want to take a look at that because this to me, they always say that oftentimes liberals are oftentimes just conservatives. They're future conservatives who has been mugged by reality, right? Or people who have been mugged by reality tend to switch their ideology pretty quickly once they realize that it's not all fun and games. It's not all roses. There's a lot of things that are consequential when it comes to liberal policies. These things have real impact. Ideas have real impact, and these people have, for many, many years, have harbored what I call, or what some have called, luxury beliefs. Right? Luxury beliefs. And what are luxury beliefs? Luxury beliefs are basically beliefs that a lot of kind of wealthy, influential liberals have, where it doesn't really cost them anything. It makes them look cool amongst their little liberal friends, and it's literally things that you can believe that if you are in a certain situation socioeconomically, you are insulated from the impact of holding those beliefs. And there's just a certain thing about that first of all I find despicable, but generally speaking, these people deserve to be held to account with their luxury beliefs. But occasionally you have someone that'll come around and say, I think I was wrong. So here's the LA Times owner. He rips Mayor Karen Bass for slashing fire department budget, and he calls it a bad call. And let's see here if we can get some of this actual video. But here's what he says. Here's his article. It says, the billionaire owner of the Los Angeles Times blasted the city's mayor, Democrat Karen Bass, for her, quote, poor planning and poor judgment, and slashing the budget for the fire department, which has been hamstrung while trying to contain the wildfires that have devastated entire neighborhoods. The mayor wanted $23 million cut. She got 17.8, as I understand. But that's sort of really, I think, a bad call, especially water and fire is exactly I see the end result of that devastation. Dr. Patrick Soon, sorry, I can't pronounce his name, told Fox News Channel on Thursday. Firefighters working to combat the blazes that have killed at least 10 people encountered empty hydrants and insufficient water pressure, limitations that are being attributed to the budget cuts that have hampered the city's emergency response capabilities. And, the thing about it is that what was interesting about this whole thing is that he actually said in one of the interviews, which I'm trying to find here now, that actually having someone who has a little business experience and has a little, experience kind of building up things is something that we really need. And he just said basically, I regret having the LA Times endorse Karen Bass. And this to me has just been a complete 180 that I think a lot of people have done. If you think about all of the left-wing media, all of the mainstream left-wing media in 2020 was all pulling in one direction against Donald Trump. And now you've got Jeff Bezos, who the owner of the Washington Post, who basically said, you know what, we're putting the kibosh on endorsing a political candidate in this presidential election. And a bunch of people on the left lost their minds. And then you have this guy who actually didn't prevent the LA Times from endorsing Karen Bass in this particular case. But he says he regrets it. And I think they're going to think about that as they move forward. So there's a lot of things I think that just need to be, we need to take these wins. I think some of these people, they were extremely Trump deranged. They're starting to realize that the consequences of their beliefs are dire. And, these luxury beliefs, eventually the bill's going to come due, right? And I think that these sort of people who realize after they having been mugged by reality, I think we need to give them a break. But the Eddie Griffins and the Snoop Dogs and the bandwagon people, I got no love. I shouldn't say no love, because, we have to love everyone. But I got no respect for. So, very, very excited that now Trump 2025, the Trump administration, 2024 to 25 or whatever you want to say, is underway. I'm expecting big things, but this is going to be an uphill battle. So I think they're going to be plotting on his downfall. They're going to take every opportunity to rip and to misrepresent any little thing, just like even the H-1B visa conversation that was being had. They made that into some big rift. And really it's just, plain old ideological diversity, which apparently isn't allowed on the Democrat Party. But in any case, we will see what this new Trump administration has in store. Pretty excited. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I think that I think that this is an excellent thing that the American people have done. We really needed for the mainstream media to be defeated, and we actually accomplished that in re-electing Trump. So we will see what the next 4 years has to offer. Let me know in the comments. Glad to get this first live stream of the year underway. And until next time, friends, I'm going to say God bless you.